I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you could stand for the invocation pledge, please. Linda, would you please?
Heavenly Father, we approach your holy and righteous throne, dear Lord. Once again tonight, a few of hope concerned citizens have come that we might do the business that's pleasing to the city. Dear Lord, we just ask that you guide us and keep us, that we might make the right decisions and that it will be accepted by all. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mark, can you lead us in the pledge?
Join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Special meeting. Before I turn over to JR, say it's been a pretty long progress and we finally got some kind of ending. Hope everybody can take their time and listen and we can plow through it. Go ahead, JR.
Thank you. Just a little prepared statement at first, and then I'm going to ask Randy to, he'll come to the podium and we can look at the documents with the board, and y'all can ask questions, any questions you may have. But just first of all, let me say that, I've come to understand in my brief 10 years as city manager serving the will of the board that probably tonight we're discussing something that's probably the most single important thing any of us will do in our tenure on this board, or me as a city manager, and that's very humbling to us. I know this is a very, very important topic. Many people have labored for months to try and resolve the issues that have arisen around hospital services for our community, and many people in this room are taking considerable risk at trying to address this issue. I think we do things like this because we are a community. We work together. We try to solve vitally important things for our people. And, we're blue-collar folks, and we work hard, and we don't let hard things get us down. Without reliable health care of some type, we all want a better future for hope. If we don't have reliable health care, that becomes very, very questionable. Your most recent hospital committee, I'd just like to let you know who's been negotiating these agreements on your behalf, the board's behalf, and it's gone back over a period of 6 months. There's been people involved and no longer involved, and new people involved, but I'd like to recognize those. Of course, Mayor Steele, Ed Darling, Jerry Crane, Ben Hale, Randy Wright, Daniel Shellman. Prior to that, Dennis Ramsey, Anna Powell, Clay Hobbs. These were really significant players in helping work through all the myriads of things that had to be worked through. But after 6 months of negotiations, what I'm happy to say is that we're here with you with signed agreements from SORMAC. You'll hear me say SORMAC. Maybe that's not. Is that how y'all pronounce it?
Swarm.
Southwest Arkansas Regional Medical Center. SWARM. So we have signed agreements by SWARM. We finally reached a tentative agreement. Now we're bringing to you to authorize the city, hopefully, to sign this, and these agreements, and we can move forward.
And county will have to meet and sign the same thing.
Yes, that's correct. This county will have to meet, and I think they're planning to do this tomorrow night if things are successful here. And they will meet tomorrow night to do the same thing, and hopefully it all works out for all parties. I won't candy coat this to the board. This is a very significant risk. This is a risky venture for the operators, mostly for the operators, and obviously a little bit for us and our citizens. I'd like to just point out a few things as well, just the main things. Many things have changed since we began this process of negotiation. At one time, we thought we were willing to pay as much as $1 million just for the building. That was our top tier thing. Then, when it came down to making an offer, they said, well, let's make the offer at $500,000. Let's see if they push us up. But I'll be honest with you, Anna and Clay flew to wherever they flew to, met with people, got to know the CEO of MPT. And I'll just be honest with you, through their communication and relationships, not only did we not have to pay $1 million for the building, we didn't have to pay $500,000 for the building, we got the building for free. That is a huge, huge win. And that was just one thing. At one time, we thought we might have, during the bankruptcy bidding issues, we thought we may have multiple people desiring to operate. That's not the case. But we did have one critical person willing to operate, a local company within our city and our town, who we know well and trust well. And we're very happy that they were the singular person willing to take on this risk. Now, we all know that we did resolutions early on, trying to assure them that we're going to help them up to a certain amount of money. There were some various variations of that amount of money. What would we use to buy the building? What would we use to, but we got the building for free. So a lot of things turned out good, and the whole time we were just telling this particular operator, if they could close, that we were still here to support them to the extent that y'all had talked about supporting them. And we'd have to work out all the agreements, of course. I know the Swarm is probably not going to tell you everything they've paid to date, but we know from the public record that they paid around $575,000 for the OPCO assets. I know just by simple math, they're probably $1.5 million into payroll over the time they've had it. I know I've looked at my own lawyer fees, our lawyer fees, and EDC's lawyer fees, and I know their lawyer fees are probably twice as much. I bet, I don't know what they're paying for lawyers, I'm just guessing they're close to $500,000. They have put in significant money and almost zero revenues to cover it. So they have conveyed to us in our meetings that they've hired an expert to help them manage the company, a company that's been successful restoring rural hospitals. They all talk to us about being what they call the death spiral at this time. It's a time when they're providing services. They have a lot of operating expenses, payroll, medicines, gauze, everything it takes to operate the hospital. And they're not receiving, even though they're logging revenue on your books, that's what you do in accrual accounting. You receive, revenue happens as it's earned, but they haven't seen the revenue. It doesn't flow in. We know what we're being told is that flowing in of the revenue takes hopefully eight months or so, and maybe they start seeing some ability to turn around and make this thing work. I think we're all optimistic it can work. I think we have professional people in the hospital that understand what's going on out there and are confident. They're all taking this risk as well, the employees with their jobs and their livelihoods and their commitment. I just can't say, this has been my honor to be on this committee. I've learned a lot on this committee, not just from the guys that I work with, but the people that we've come to know and we've had to negotiate with. And I think we've all negotiated in good faith. And we've tried to do our best to represent the citizens' point of view, protect the citizens' money, also understand the importance of this, realizing they're the only partner for this critical infrastructure, and that there is a lot of risk. And so, in a nutshell, you're gonna hear some Randy talk about the agreements with you, But in a nutshell, they're agreeing to lease the hospital for 5 years. Now, obviously, if this all falls apart and they have to default, that could happen. But tentatively, they're agreeing to lease it for 5 years. They're agreeing to pay $200,000 annually in replacement and repair costs. If something goes beyond that, and we've agreed that they could come to us and we could then try to negotiate if the city and county would be willing to help further. We're not required to help further, but we would negotiate the possibility of further help, and if agreed, if the board's agreed and the court agreed, it'd be a 1/3, if we agreed to that, it'd be a 1/3 cost to pay for each for whatever we agreed to. They're paying all the operating hospital costs. They're gonna pay the taxes. They're gonna enter a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with us a little bit later on. And we agreed to lease them the property for $1 in the lease agreement a year. We agreed to seek state funding and federal funding as those things are available to help with the repair of the structural premises and needed equipment, update equipment. We've agreed that any equipment we buy with state or federal funds remains the property of the hospital, the building. And so this $2 million that we're writing checks for, primarily to help them with their payroll and be a financing gap. It's kind of like a bridge gap for them to help hopefully make things work until this thing can become profitable. If something becomes profitable at the end of the term, they actually have a 3-year option. They could extend that. They could extend this lease as agreed to for 3 more years. After that, if they wanted to continue the hospital, then we'd have to renegotiate the lease. And if they're just highly profitable and really happy, at that time we may start charging more than $1 a year for lease. But
It'd be welcome at that.
it would be welcome. So your committee, and my last thing to say is this, your committee that's worked on y'all's behalf highly recommends board's approval of these agreements. But we understand you have many questions. I'm going to ask Randy to come to the podium and be willing to address those questions.
All right, board, as you remember in June of this year, we had 2 different resolutions concerning what we were going to do to help the hospital situation, and that was a resolution, and I think it was June 14th to go into committing ourselves, or the board committing the city funds of $1 million and how we were going to pay it over a period of time. That's changed, and so has the June 28th resolution, I think 2024-08, which provided that we were going to pay some of that money for buying the building. We didn't have to buy the building. We didn't have to pay any funds. So tonight, what we're asking the board, after JR's explained to you that over a period of 2.5 months, we've been trying to meet out an agreement. And I don't want to say or disparage anyone about how that was done. It wasn't because we were at odds with each other. It was trying to protect kind of both sides. I mean, I think each side was trying to protect the other a little bit and understood. And everybody was open about how we were going to do that. And it just takes time to put together all the ins and outs of how to do that. But basically what we're asking the board to do tonight is to agree to allow the city to enter into the stabilization agreement between the city, county, and Swan, and then also a commercial lease with the city and county leasing it to the hospital. By doing that with the stabilization agreement, we are providing that we're going to pay that $1 million, but it's being done set out in the agreement and by the resolution we're gonna pass tonight. We've been holding back any payment until we get to this point. And if anybody thinks that hasn't been involved in this, that they're rocking and rolling out there and got money throwing around, that they didn't get any money, they don't have any accounts receivable that you would normally have when you buy a business. They don't have anything. They started from bottom. And probably not gonna have that because of the bankruptcy situation. Probably not gonna get those accounts receivable. I don't know, hope they do. That's not in our deal, but we're providing in the new resolution, and in the new stabilization, that we're gonna immediately upon this agreement, pay $200,000. 400 is gonna be from the county, 200 from the county, and 200 from the city. But the city's committing, isn't that right? 400 each, okay. Yeah, it's gone, that's right, I'm sorry. Because we were 4 months behind.
Payroll.
Yeah, that's right, I'm sorry, 400,000 of the $1 million we're gonna pay immediately, and then monthly thereafter, 100,000. Till we get to the million. And we need to pray and hope that that gets us to where we have a functioning hospital in 6 months. So I hope that'll do it, but that's the only way we can, at this point where we are, be able to have a functioning hospital with the hope of continuing to function. We just don't see any other way. I mean, throughout this process in the last 2.5 months, we've come to stark realization that the hospital business is so regulated and under the gun for trying to operate in a certain way that to be able to do that is going to take a lot of help. And hopefully we'll get the funding from the state that we need to help them do that. And that we can keep our hospital for the citizens. But, you know, the board committed to the $1 million. This is the way we're going to, by the new resolution, by the entering into the agreement, this is the way we pay it out. And just changed a little bit. So any questions from me?
I have one, Randy.
Okay.
How many are currently employed now at the hospital?
Around 110.
And that includes how many doctors?
So the physicians are subcontracted right now.
Okay.
So, but we do have 2 MDs on staff, Dr. Garrett and Dr. Goins.
Oh, okay.
And then the hospitalists and the ER doctors are subcontracted. And it's kind of just the way a billing has to happen in order for that. That's the reason why it's like that.
Okay. Are they currently housing up there?
Dr. Garrett and Dr. Goins will be moved into the hospital. So we're remodeling part of a wing and turning that into a rural health clinic. So we'll have Dr. Garrett, Dr. Goins, Tammy Wellman as a nurse practitioner, Nikki Black as a nurse practitioner, and John as a nurse practitioner.
Now, the city and the county are gonna be responsible for the building, correct? So, and if it winds up being 8 years, I mean, with very little rent coming in, where are those funds gonna come for us to take care of that building?
Under the agreement, they take care of $200,000 of repair expenses.
Now, does that include medical equipment as well?
Not for
Or
repair of the building.
it's only for repair of the building?
But we're responsible for the medical equipment,
Yes.
correct?
State
But
funds.
that
will
200,000
support,
does not,
and then we're
Well, I guess
responsible
we
for
do
the
it this
rest.
I guess it would include that equipment, yeah. Because that's part of the building, it's part of our, no, that's y'all bought.
I'm sorry, we bought
Yeah,
the
that's
assets.
their assets, yes.
We bought the personal property
Yeah.
assets.
Okay.
Yeah, we just be building grounds.
Yeah. As example, I know the intercom system, y'all have already done that. That was approximately how much?
170.
170, plus all the remodels of the doctor's offices.
Yes.
So basically, y'all pretty much already capped at 200,000 or more Oh, yeah. Way more.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're
Yeah.
more. I mean,
And I guess-
there's other repairs going on right now.
Every day there's
It's
repairs.
every day, yeah.
But it also has to be agreed upon. If they just go and spend their own money and just do it on their own, that's, okay, they can. But if they want to leverage us, our third and the county's third to be considered, they have to come and negotiate that with us. But as long as they can spend 200,000 if they have to spend, they can spend $1 million if they wanted to, we wouldn't say no to it. But for to get any money from the city and county, they have to come to us and negotiate. And if they just do it on their own, it's just up to them.
And the reason I'm asking because
Paint flooring is all.
we're gonna have a lot of the citizens asking us questions.
Yeah, yes.
You know,
Yes,
and I
absolutely.
think we need to know
Yeah.
how to explain it to them,
Sure.
or somewhere down the line, it comes out that
Exactly, yes.
it's explained to them.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you right now, and Dennis has dealt with this many, many years, it's hard to educate some citizens to the positive, for them to understand.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that bad of anybody, but something like this is a huge thing for us to try to educate.
Yeah, and so like JR was saying, we're on the hook for $200,000 a year in repairs. And then anything above that would be something that we would negotiate with the city and county to try to see if we could come to an agreement for y'all. You're not obligated to do that, but you have the option.
Because I definitely know in the tour, we all discussed the roof.
Yeah.
And
And I mean, we're definitely gonna have to be depending on state funding. I mean, that's gonna be a $3.2 million roof approximately. So, yeah.
That's my concern with that cap being $200,000 and you're already above that amount. And then the roof being a necessary repair to the safe operation of the hospital, that's gonna come up pretty soon. And the issue becomes, the city has already given, or will be giving you, $1 million. And how can we justify to our citizens giving any more money at this point? And where would it come from?
Right.
Because we've got sanitation, we got wastewater, we've got landfill issues
Right.
that should be our primary concern at this point. So I'm conflicted about that cap being at $200,000, and then knowing that there's a roof, because 6.4 says that you can terminate 6.5A, any building in such a state of disrepair that makes the premises unsafe or otherwise uninhabitable for the operation of the hospital. So if you've got those leaks coming in, then it's not sanitary.
Yeah.
So that's my that's.
Okay.
JR, do you want me to address the state funding request?
Sure, and I would just say before you do that, maybe that, you've already addressed some of the leaks.
Right, so I was gonna tell you, we've put patches on some of the leaks. The roof is not in such just repair that it's gotta be replaced tomorrow. So we're trying to work on the state funding. We're not gonna spend the $3.2 million to fix the roof. And just go out there and do it and say, hey, we need y'all to kick in your $200,000. No. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to work with state funding, and we're gonna have to be able to also, let me throw, at 9 a.m. in the morning, I have a meeting with the roofing contractor that wants to give a proposal. Already given a proposal, but he also has means to work with grants. So I'm gonna just kind of see what kind of things they can offer through their grants to be able to, not his grants, but through grants from the state as well, to see what we can get to help repair that roof. But the roof is not in such disrepair that it's got to be replaced tomorrow. I just want you to understand that.
And I think our intent is to limp along until we can hopefully get funding.
Yes.
And just
Correct.
patch until
Correct.
we get funding.
Jerry and I and Anna went to talk to the governor's office, and they won't really talk to us until we get this agreement worked out. Everybody has said this agreement needs to be in place so we can apply for state funding. Anna, you got anything to add to it?
I just want to let you all know that the state funding request addresses capital issues such as a roof, HVAC for long-term sustainability, and that at this time I want to be clear, the existing hospital doesn't have any findings with their surveys and their audits as far as it's unsafe and so there's been no existing findings of that, but it is important to keep it in a state so that we can continue to pass those surveys to stay in good standing for CMS funding whenever the Medicare number gets worked out. But all of that to be said, that it's very important that we all work to lobby Southwest Arkansas to get funding for this hospital. And I understand that the $200,000 is a concern, but like he said, it is something that when you walk in the hospital right now, you're not gonna have water falling on you, or if you're a patient out there, it's not gonna be an issue. It's not gonna become an issue with your services. But it is something that long-term has to be addressed.
And we did have an insurance inspector come out and thoroughly overlooked everything and did heat surveys on the breakers and the panels and all that. And so he had no recommendations, he came with no recommendations for us that anything that had to be repaired at this time. So I thought that was good.
And as of September, they did have a full survey from the Department of Health from the survey and a validation survey from CMS that found no deficiencies or nothing major at all.
And further direct that question, Director, is that if the worst did come, that they terminated, we have a building and a land that's owned by the city and the county. We'll have to figure out that it won't be a hospital. Hope that never happens, but it won't be a hospital, but it'll be an asset.
Well, that's one of my other concerns, because we have one across the street that's
Yeah,
still
but
sitting
that's-
there.
Privately.
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
it is now, yeah.
so, that, I think what the board did in June for, trying to save the hospital is the same purpose we're here tonight to do, is to try to keep it as a hospital facility. And after 2.5 months of putting these two agreements together, I really think this is a good agreement for both of us, and for both public people, the people of Hope and Hempstead County, and for our operators. So I hope it goes well, But if it doesn't, I think there are things this city and county would have to fall back on.
And we negotiated this point, just to let you know, this point was discussed ad infinitum
Yeah.
between the two groups. And this was the best agreement we could agree to.
Both sides give.
I have a question for Pafford. What is your take and what is your feeling about the care system overall? That's from the bottom up. I guess I'm really asking, because we've trusted Pafford so much in our city. So all the questions is being thrown at these, how do Pafford feel about having to consider the purchasing and the operating of the assets of Stewart? That's my question. Do you feel like we're ready to do that?
Yes, I feel like we're ready. Like we said, we have hired a management consulting group to help us operate the hospital. And so, I think you're asking if we're ready to operate the hospital, is that what? Yeah, I think so. I think from the management group the consulting group that we have engaged, that and the people that we have on the Pafford staff that are willing to do more than one job at a time, thank the Lord for that. That we are ready to tackle this. Now, Pafford does not know all about running a hospital, and I think it's good that we know and understand that. And because when we understand that, then we know that we have to look to other people to get information and consultation. And so I think from that standpoint, I think we are ready.
And one of the
They have been operating for a month also.
There was one, and let me say this, for in there, there was one curveball thrown to them.
Okay.
And that was, the bankruptcy judge walked in one day and said, here are the keys. It's yours tomorrow.
Yeah, we were supposed to have 60 days,
60.
and it turned into, from that point, and it turned into tomorrow. So we had to go in, and so we have, and like he said, we have been operating. We've been operating it for how many days now?
52 days.
52 days. So, and
I counted.
I'm getting a lot of reports from, people are coming to me personally and saying that they've had a good experience out there. Now, the day's gonna come when I'm gonna hear the other side, but so far, I've heard a lot of good, compliments from what's going on out there.
One of the things that was in the lease that was really a serious point of contention is 7. I think you've addressed it. And that was a lot of work to get to who was responsible for what in the maintenance of the premises. And also, I think the board should look at this, even though you hope government funding will be there, we'll get some aid. No, we don't have any, we have some input, but very little control over how that works. But the only way, as Mayor Steele said earlier, the only way to even approach the state about this is to have an agreement in place.
Now, as far as revenue stream, is it the Medicare number that we're kind of waiting on, or is that what's gonna help?
Yes, sir. Yes,
For
we have to have a
revenue
Medicare. Yes, sir.
And y'all are subletting as well for Dr. Goins and Dr.
So they have so it's a RHC, so it's set up a little different. They already have their Medicare number, so we're gonna be able to bill for them starting very quickly. But the hospital itself, we gotta get the Medicare number for it, and then from there, we'll back bill what our patients to date, and then go forward on that.
So the clinic is ours. So we're not, if you're talking about subletting the property, we're not doing that. No.
Dr. Garrett's office and Dr.
That's-
Goins' office?
That's a swarm
Oh,
clinic.
okay.
Yes, that will come into the
That
hospital.
does not belong to them.
But all you're doing is just paying them as contractors, basically.
Well, those are actually full-time staff. So
They're
Dr.
staff.
Dr.
They're
So
Jones-
so it'll be on staff, not contractor, anything?
They're
Okay.
correct. And
Yep.
we'll-
So just more employees,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
higher paid ones, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Will they be allowed to bring their staff with them?
They did, yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, good, okay.
Yes.
Now, as far as equipment goes, I know y'all own some equipment, do the purchase and everything. How are we gonna keep equipment separate throughout the tender of y'all
Well,
operating?
I think you can look at what's 30 years old and what's brand new.
Now, I understand the appreciation is not there.
Yeah.
We have,
I think I can answer that real quick. Mark, the things that the county would provide would be a major piece of, it's not gonna be a bedpan or this or that. It's going to be an x-ray machine.
Yeah.
CAT scan,
Yeah,
whatever.
some major piece of capital equipment.
But that would be through the state funding,
Right.
but it would be considered y'all's equipment if we ever.
and you have to keep property tags on all the equipment out there, so once we do that, we can code that correctly in the system.
Different.
Because you will be, CMS will come in and inspect everything and make sure that we're doing PMs and various other.
Because I know what's there is ancient.
Right.
Yeah.
Randy, like I said, I read through there, but you're the lawyer, I'm not, but is there anything in that as far as if it winds up being not viable for Pafford to run that hospital, what kind of time frame notice do we get?
That's in there. I know there's a notice of maybe 60 days.
Just 60
Yeah.
days?
Yeah, that was a figure that went back and forth, but 60 days, I think, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure of that.
yeah. That may be under
Yeah.
policy
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And being, is that something, if y'all know, let's say you foresee you're not gonna be able to make it or whatever, are y'all gonna be attempting to try to find somebody that can take the license over?
Yes, we would do that, of course, we would have.
Your
to
best
consult.
effort.
I think, yes, we would. definitely make our best effort to keep it going, because that's all of our goal, right, is to keep it open.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, that was the original intent of what we were doing from the very beginning, so that's exactly what we want to do, no matter what happens.
But there are parameters set in place that they should, at some point, and what point that is makes a difference in what they have to do as far as termination. So
Yes.
we've got, that's again, another part of the whole process dealing with it.
The whole goal is for them to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
So our best.
yeah,
After going through all this, for the last, in last 5 years, you know, we gotta keep our eye on, you know, we gotta keep the hospital going. I think everybody in the public, everybody I talked to in the city said, you know, we gotta keep the hospital open. We don't wanna turn it into a trust fit or something like that, because if it ever leaves, it's gonna be hard to talk to somebody else to come in and fix it. I know it's too big, we've talked about it, it's too big a building for Hope,
It is.
but, we're working through that, but, thank God we have somebody step up and run this thing.
Well, I think everybody here probably knows, but that building is grandfathered in as a hospital. If it ever closes, it can never be a hospital again.
Right.
Yeah. If it ever closes, that license ever goes away for that hospital, it can never be a hospital again, unless it's totally rebuilt.
So, you know, Dennis and I kind of got into this a long time ago with the landfill. We kind of took a risk to put it in there and put done a good investment for the city. This is another investment for the city I think we need to really consider, and I hope we approve, because we've been back and forth on this for so many, but I do agree. I think it's the best agreement. I do, for them and for us, in the sense of keeping it open and trying to help them and trying to help the city keep a hospital viable. But it's not, you know, you can look at it and think, well, this is not good, but you gotta look at Pafford's side too. They're putting a lot out there too, so it's a joint risk for everybody, like you said, Gerald. But like I say, now's the time to ask the questions, because the public will wanna know. But I think most of the public that hit me up said, we gotta keep that hospital open, period. So,
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that it's a worthwhile or necessary option, it's just, you know.
well,
it's
that's what I
a
told
serious
JR.
stuff.
I told JR before, I said, there's a lot of information poured on you guys right quick, is,
Well, I've told the board that from the time we started this after June, trying to figure out how to work together on this contract, I mean, you know, it was a lot of give and take. I mean, a lot, I believe, for the best interest of our community, of what we agreed to. I really do. I mean, we may look upon this and say, well, we made a good effort and it didn't work, but we made the effort. And, but I think this gives us the best opportunity to have an ongoing hospital to continue in the future for our citizens. And, you know, the board and other things, what y'all did in passing, submitting to the voters to the Parks and Recreation and Fire Station building, for that, the tax on that, moves hope forward. And this is something that, you know, is the same way. We've got to have a hospital. And it's got to move forward. So, and I really, you know, all the painful negotiations over the last 2.5 months, I really believe it's the best we could be at. You know, it's got some warts on it, but just have to see how it works.
any other questions? We got all night. If you got a question, no time.
Any motion?
You want any citizens' comments before we go? Anybody wants to say anything? This is a citywide vote here. I guarantee you, that we need a community behind us, and we need a community behind Ben James.
I just want to make one statement, and this is actually to the two media companies here. It's very important for us to make sure that the community understands the vital importance of this hospital. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of dedication on the part of the board and the quorum court. But I really, this is really vital for y'all the ears and eyes out there for the community. And it's really important for y'all to put it out there and help us educate the community as much as possible.
Well, the other question out there is, imagine Hope and Hempstead County without a hospital.
And we're just touching on that, talking about educating the media. One thing y'all need to let everybody know, most of our industry, and I think Anna can definitely vouch for this, most of our industry, if we do not have a hospital in Hempstead County, most of our industry would have to pull out.
Long term, yes.
Yeah, long term, it would have, because their insurances and everything requires them to have medical services within a certain distance, certain mileage. So it would be, I mean, that would be the first, if this hospital ever closed, that would be the first nail in the coffin for Hope in Hempstead County.
Wish me to read the resolution.
Anybody, any other comments? Go ahead, Randy.
All right, this is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas to approve, one, an agreement for the provision of stabilizing hospital services and option to purchase hospital assets, and two, separate agreement to enter into a commercial lease by and among the City of Hope, Arkansas, and the County of Hempstead County, Arkansas, referred to as landlord. Whereas Resolution 2024-06 was passed on June 18, 2024 by the City of Hope, Arkansas Board of Directors for purposes stated, and Resolution 2024-08 was passed on 28 June 2024 by the City of Hope, Arkansas Board of Directors for purposes stated, and whereas it is the intent to amend Section 1 of Resolution 2024-06 and Section 1 of Resolution 2024-08 to allow the allocation of the $1 million appropriated by said resolution to be used by the City of Hope, Arkansas to enter into the following. One, an agreement for the provision of stabilizing hospital services and an option to purchase hospital assets, and two, a separate agreement to enter into a commercial lease by and among the City of Hope, Arkansas, and the County of Hempstead County. Whereas the remainder of resolutions 2024-06 and 2024-08 remain in effect, therefore be it resolved this 12th day of November 2024 that the Board of Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas hereby amends Section 1 of Resolution 2024-06 and Section 1 of Resolution 2024-08 to read as follows. In Section 1, a total of $1 million may be appropriated from city general funds for operations and maintenance of the hospital. Funds may be designated as follows in accordance with the following agreements. One, the agreement for the provision of stabilizing hospital services and an option to purchase hospital assets in favor of the City of Hope, Arkansas, and Hempstead County, Arkansas, and two, a commercial lease by and among the City of Hope, Arkansas, and the County of Hempstead, Arkansas, collectively the landlord, and Southwest Arkansas Regional Medical Center, LLC, a limited liability company referred to as the tenant. Passed and adopted this 12th day of November by the Board of Directors of the City of Hope.
One question, midway on the first page, it says, whereas the remainder of resolutions 2024-06 and 2024-07, should that read 2020?
Oh, wait, yes.
Should be,
Yes.
oh, wait, okay, that's, I didn't know. Well, I don't,
Yeah,
I'll make sure we don't get into
I
it.
amended
to
the
the problem
problem,
here.
got y'all.
Okay, so we'll make sure
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
does that need to be changed?
We'll take care of it.
Yeah, it will be away, yeah, thank you.
Okay, we've heard the reading, resolution. Any other questions? Now, is there a motion?
So move that we accept the resolution being presented to us concerning the provisions for stabilizing the hospital services.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. This is step one. Now it goes to the county. And then it comes to, then it happens. So I appreciate the board. I know JR does.
Yes, very much.
I wish we could have had more information out along the way, but it was changing every day. It really was. My email's gonna be a lot quieter now.
Mayor, just to let the board know too, so I think the county are planning to meet tomorrow night. They'll meet tomorrow night, and if their decision is positive, all this will get signed by all parties, and we should have a check cut. Our first check cut is required after the signatures, probably Thursday. And then we'll go into that monthly invoicing, and we'll still need an invoice. We will need an invoice.
Yes, sir.
And Anna, with the agreement, if both agreements go, I mean, how soon can we contact the state and start working with them, I guess?
I already have
We
my
already-
email drafted, I mean, the follow-up email drafted, but we were.
Essentially, they're waiting on this agreement.
Yes. It's ready, I mean, it's ready to hit send, hey, where we're at.
One thing about it, the state did already give some funding to other small hospitals around the state, so this is not like it's something new. They help out other small hospitals. We just need to get our ducks in a row so we can go see them.
And you want to inform the board, our committee kind of working with the legislative piece is Mayor Steele, Ed Darling, Jerry Crane, the county judge, and Anna Powell. They're kind of like the political committee now, taking this forward to kind of work through the legislative process and the governor's process to try to get those state funds.
And I'll just say, Anna, and we all been knocking on doors. We hadn't been not knocking on doors, but we've been there. We just need to get this before we can go any farther, so. We'll put it on, and we'll get some funding of some kind. I hope we get as much as we want.
Amen.
Here, $2 and go spend it.
Yes, yes.
All right, well, thank you. Is there anything else?
There's a couple of things. One, upstairs, Saturday night's gonna be a concert to benefit Clips Museum Association and to help raise money for the museum and everything. I would love to see a good turnout for that. Also, Hope kind of made a little bit more national news today. One of our young adults, Mike Huckabee, has been appointed by our incoming president to be the ambassador to Israel. You know, obviously that's confirmation with Congress and everything, but that's just another, you know, a little thing for City of Hope, Arkansas to get recognition.
Yeah, also, 10 o'clock Thursday, we're going to have a ceremony for 2 Gold Star families.
Yes.
The Robinsons and the Rosenbaums to be right here at 10 o'clock, and a small ceremony, and then we're going out to dedicate some roads, some Highway 67, Highway 29, for the fallen soldiers. So 10 o'clock here if you'd like to come. Anything else for the board?
Just thank everybody that turned out yesterday. It was a good Veterans Day turnout and everything.
And
Very
this,
impressed.
yeah, and this is our first meeting after our 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Thank you, citizens of Hope. I think we'll see a lot of. Thank you, Daniel. Anything else to come forward, board?
I would just like to say thank you for all y'all's hard work in this and your commitment and support. And I think us working together is going to be very positive for the future.
Hope for big things. Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
We're adjourned. Thank you.